Hello, team believers. This is Kavita and Mike, and I just wanted to do a presentation that we presentation about today's meeting Saturday. I know some of you could not make it, and I wanted to make sure we get all the nuggets that we picked up. Really, some great things that we picked up by our leaders, of course, Altaf, Sean, and the RM teams Bala and Madhav, who had just made this visit to Hawaii. And of course, they were all excited about their trip to Hawaii. And that's why I wanted to go through some of the things because I think it really inspired us and empowered us. And I want to make sure this reached out to every one of you and hope if I miss out anything, Manoj and Roma were present with us. They can maybe fill you in on the things that I missed out. But I think I basically covered everything. So, you know, everybody, some of these partners, leaders, they went on the Hawaii trip, which happens every year. As a matter of fact, this is their 40th trip, which Mr. Humphrey had already started 40 years ago. And it was one of the first days of the inauguration of the Hyatt hotel there. And he had his first meeting at that particular day also. So this is a big tradition that's happening. It's a family HGI tradition, which has been going on. This was new to me, of course, but that's really great. So, we want to make sure everybody's empowered. We want to make sure we all are inspired. And I'm just going to cover some of the things that were talked about and some of the nuggets that they mentioned. And, environment, what they covered was be empowered by your environment, of course. And what they meant by that is exactly what Kavita was discussing in our last meeting is we need to make sure we are attending these calls, attending the trips or the boot camps and these conventions that's coming up in December. Because those are the places where you meet the leaders, you meet the other parallel teams, you meet the the teams that are or the leaders that are making $1 million or seven-figure income and $500,000 and be in touch with them one-on-one and their families, as a matter of fact. So this way you can ask these questions and concerns, or ask them their nuggets or their failures, how they conquered their drawbacks at the stage where you are at. So this is what I wanted to cover, some of those nuggets that Altaf and Sean had shared, and what Bala and Madhav experienced on their first trip to Hawaii, and what they basically got from it. And of course, I added a few things that I kind of understood and that inspired me. So, please be empowered by your environment, because the people you walk on, socialize with, successful people, and that will bring you success. So the advantage, like I mentioned, of the trips, boot camps and the meetings, learn from the leaders, leaders from different teams, one-on-one and all day. And what they mentioned was being with the leader at the beach or at the dinner table or at breakfast or just hanging out in town because they rented some mopeds and stuff. So you're getting one-on-one with Aki, with Sean, with Altaf, and many of the others are there, and asking them these questions and getting their secrets and their mantra to really get them to where they are at this moment in time. And it's very difficult for us to do that on a daily basis here, but they're also in a very relaxed mood in Hawaii in their vacations also. So there'll be more is to share more things with you, and in a very simple or very relaxed kind of setting. So this is what you want to do, and you want to attend these boot camps and meetings and the convention that's coming up in December for sure. Learning from the leaders and learn from each other. We can talk to the inter-hierarchy members that are parallel to us, their families in these trips, like in Hawaii they mentioned, or even the boot camps. You can talk to some of those members and understand their life journey or in HGI and their outlook, how they brought the success into their business, how they grew their teams. So these are very important events and very important times where we can do those meetings with the individuals that have so much success in HGI and getting their insight on some of these things. And the questions always, like he always says, ask the right question and the detailed question. And what he meant by that was, of course, when you ask a leader, how did they do? You don't just say what it was your mantra for success. What you want to really ask is, what did you do when I was an associate, when you were an associate, or what did you do when you were an MD, or what did you do when you were an RMD? You want to be very specific to what level, and so they can really give you a very detailed and very specific answer to what their experience was at the time when they were at your level, or or when they were going through your drawbacks or your concerns. And that's very important when you meet some of these leaders or you meet some of the team members in the parallel teams. And be inspired and empowered by listening to leaders and other partners about their story and their why. Of course, that is what empowers us and inspires us when we meet or when we listen to other team members and their journey, why they got into HGI, what are the pains and things that they were going through in their life made them take this leap into HGI, into having their own business, their own teams, and what really empowered them, and who and what really inspired them. Because I think this business is not about the product. This business is not really about how many team members you have. It's really inspiring and empowering your team members and making them leaders who can duplicate again the same. And I think this is what this business is all about. So just a gist of that. Now we come to where Bala and Madhav, their transformation for this Hawaii trip that they did. And of course, this was their first trip, and they seemed very excited about it, and they wanted to share. So they came on stage. But of course, both of these guys are very reluctant to be on stage, especially Madhav, where he explained his story, that this trip really changed his confidence, where he got the confidence to really come on stage and pour his heart out to what he learned with Aki, with Sean, with Altaf, and all the other leaders, Bhagwan and Raghav. So he was really excited to share that with us, and he really did it pretty well, where he got inspired and he tried to duplicate that exactly. So these are some of the topics that they covered with Bala also, and where his first trip, and that really changed his outlook, where he mentioned when he was taking off from Atlanta, and then when he was coming back to Atlanta, his total outlook is totally different regarding HGI and the growth of his business in HGI. So the first thing, of course, the power of numbers, where it's all about numbers, and it's like the 80-20 rule, which happens mostly in every business, in every aspect of your life. You recruit 100 to get 10 to be active, so you can have 5 that are passionate, and hence you let 1 or 2 out of those 5 that become system RMDs and leaders. And of course, our goal is to make those system RMDs and leaders. And the system RMD, I just want to clarify, it's an RMD that really goes by the LFS, which is really going and following the system. And that's where you want to duplicate. And you want to make sure you are creating those RMDs and leaders for that passive income that you're looking for. And of course, the main thing they both mentioned with the fear of coming on stage, and they talked about Bala, especially when he talked about removing fear, many different aspects in the business where you have fear to come on stage, fear of losing team members or recruits, fear of your teams not performing, fear of losing out on your prospects or your friends because you're approaching them. And that's what you should really get that out of your journey, because just remember, you are trying to help families just the same way you're helping yourself, because you feel, and I think this, for myself, I am really passionate about not only the business because of whatever income or whatever it involves, but just that I could talk to someone and then I could give them some insights on finances that I know or that I have learned a little bit here, more than what I knew before. And it really excites me to really go out there and duplicate and let others know, because you do not know what people know. And only when you're out there explaining and talking in detail and giving them these insights that they feel that there's so much value. So I think we are doing a great thing. And that's why I'm very passionate about this, where we empower people, where we help people, we inspire people, and we fulfill or help them reach their dreams. And so, you know, there is no fear there. You shouldn't be fearing that. And that's what I got from this, and that's what exactly Madhav and Bala were explaining and talking about their experience after Hawaii. Build confidence to build bigger. And I've learned this personally myself. I think confidence is a great thing. Confidence to achieve confidence on yourself first, because I think that's very important. We all have the same minds, the same blood, the same bodies that's running through. Is just we are diverted or not shown confidence where we can say we can achieve whatever we set out to. So I think confidence also comes from setting goals and making sure those small goals are met also, where you bring confidence to yourself. And that could be very anything, starting an exercise program, trying not to eat some more sugar or cutting back on some caffeine. So those small things also bring confidence. And this is what you should practice to bring confidence to yourself, that whatever you're doing in this business or whatever you're set out to do is going to happen. And this is the vehicle that's going to take us. What to say, what not to say. And some of the things what Bala mentioned is if there's a question like, is this insurance? A lot of people gave, when he asked on the stage, a lot of us gave different answers, what kind of business this is. But his answer basically was, if somebody asks you, is this insurance or about insurance, you just have to say yes or no. And that's all they're asking for. We don't need to go in details, and that's all what's needed. So we don't need to get too excited and give them all that and try to explain or try to justify what we are doing. So those are some of the questions that he said you might come across, that you usually come across, and he got a different insight listening to the leaders in Hawaii. I don't like insurance, and that was one other thing that he mentioned, where maybe some of your prospects or your clients, maybe your prospects do say those things. So his answer was, when somebody does mention that, try to find out why and try to find out their pain point. What happened? Did they experience a bad agent, or did they experience a bad company or a product, or just to understand, so you know where you are able to help them in the future. Care less what others think. This is my mantra from day one. Personally, if you know me, it might sound a little bit mean or conceited, but caring less is, you're out to set a mission. You are on a mission, and you're out to set goals for your family, for yourself, for your team. And it does not matter what your friends think or your socially what anybody else think, because they're not going to come and pay your bills. They're not going to come and take care of you tomorrow if you cannot pay your bills or you cannot handle certain things. So you have to understand that everyone is looking out for themselves, yes, but if you have more time, if you have more income, if you're able to help more people, you basically are out there and you give yourself more time, having passive income, you can go out there and do charity. You can go out there and help more people in your churches or your temples or anywhere else. So it's important to understand that, you stick to your path and don't be afraid of rejections, because out of 10 failures, out of 10 failures you're going to go through, you're going to end up with that success, and that success is going to be the sweetest. So I think what they were mentioning is that Success, a big success is very important. And failures, just because we did not get a client or did not get a prospect, that's not a failure. A failure is if you dropped a bomb somewhere else. A failure is if you took a company like Amazon all the way up to Amazon and went bankrupt. Or failure is if you, decided to in the hospital taking care of someone and something happened where there was a tragic event where many people suffered, and that's what I would say would be failure. But just losing a prospect or losing a client or somebody mentioning no to you does not mean that we are a failure or we have not achieved or we don't have to go or time enough to reach our goals and be successful. And remember, success is always a very personal definition. So we want to be aware of that. Number 6, of course, don't get bored with basics. And this is exactly what we mentioned in our meeting last week, where Kavita was mentioning that, listen to the calls, go on the meetings, on the Zoom calls, even if they're repetition, because it's important to get through the practice, and practice makes perfect. The more you hear it, the more you listen to it, the more you watch it, the more you practice it, it's going to get embedded in you and it'll just come automatically when someone asks a question. So don't get bored with basics. And basics is what makes the buildings, the success. All these team members, they run just the basics, The other thing, of course, prospect list, update the prospect list every day. Reach out to people you haven't followed up with. Don't stop at the no because it may not be just the right time. There's so many times I've heard by a lot of other leaders and partners that they reached out to this person after 6 months or 9 months, and this was just the right time that they signed up or they came on board because maybe they were going through some thing in their life. So it's important to note that down. It's important to put that in the Excel sheet so you know exactly when last you spoke to them, what you spoke to them, what their answers was, and when did you follow up. So this way you could follow up with them every few months and see where they are. But it's always important, what I've seen is with clients or with prospects, is to send nuggets where we can send a small thing which might help them or which help them with their pain that they're going through, or they may want to know something about a product that they mentioned they're going to come back and think about. So you can send them a small video or something that's shared in the groups or something you see online that is helpful. It's very important to, send them that, but always keep a note and make sure that you have accounted for who you reached out and when, because that way you could follow up the next time around and make sure you're not just bombarding them with information or calls. And of course, the spelling here, learn from failures and learn from your failures. They mentioned where Altaf mentioned where if you have not had 100 no's, you have not been successful. But we want to make sure that every time we have failed, that we understand exactly why that happened and where we could have corrected so we don't make that mistake the next time. And that's why it's important to be on field training where you're listening to the field builders, you're listening to the field trainers and understanding exactly what's happening. And if that does not go the way you intended, and you could analyze and sit with your team leaders and understand what went wrong and what it may not, I don't think anytime, most of these times, it's not what went wrong. It just may not be the right time that person is ready to join in or to get a product. So just remember, just learn from our failures. If you haven't failed, you're not successful. Learn from each one and implement in future VOPs. Have leaders versus builders. And this I mentioned before, that we're out here to build leaders, not just builders of teams, because we want to empower people who can empower and duplicate themselves. And that's what we are in the business of, is empowering and inspiring people so they can inspire others, because this is how the positiveness spreads. Declare your goals to team and stick to it. I like to do that, declare our goals, and we'll go through that where you have a team or you have the partners. This way you are accountable for what you declared, and when you declare to someone else, you're more likely to act on it and make sure you act on it. So it's important not only to declare the goals to yourself, but also to others, to family members, and of course to your team. And we try to stick to it. It doesn't matter. It's no big deal if you didn't make those 5 recruits or 10 recruits or those sales, but at least you have that goal and you can carry it forward for the next month. So please do set the goals for yourself and set the goals for your teams whenever, if you have the teams right now or if you don't in the future. Don't sell the business cheap. We have the opportunity for them and not the other way. This is said many times by Aki and many of the leaders that I have seen in the last year, where we don't need to sell the business cheap, because the business is not what we are trying to sell. We are in the business to sell dreams, and we are in the business to empower. We are in the business to inspire. So we have something important. We have something good that we could give them, and we should not feel short that our business or ourselves or our team does not have any value. And that's what you want to make sure, that we are giving them something that will help them or help their families in not only finances, but also empowering and self-development, which I have seen a lot in this business, and I have definitely learned a lot from this business. Your desire for success should be higher than the fear of failure, which a lot of us go, this happens to us on a lot of times on a daily basis, where whatever failures happen, small failures at home, at the office, at work, at your business, anywhere, that kind of stays in with you. Why this happened, how this happened, how could I have avoided it, or what if I had not done it? So we want to make sure, what I've learned is not to concentrate more on just your failures in that day. You want to make sure you are also looking, or should be most of your day, is your desires, your dreams, and the small successes that you have done for that day. Maybe just waking up early, or maybe just eating on a strict diet, or maybe drinking enough water for the day. Those are small successes that you really want to concentrate on. So focus on your success, not just the failures. And the failures will happen and your mind will turn away, but you have to practice to understand that be more positive than the negative. This way you surround yourself with people that are positive. This way you give positive things to everyone. My biggest thing that I like, of course, change your belief and change your mindset. For me, that's very strong, and because believing in yourself is one of the most important things. If you do not believe in yourself, then you cannot really achieve anything. And believing in yourself does change that mindset, where it gives you the confidence, it gives you the desire for success, it gives you that strength and that courage and that empowerment that you could do it. You have the know-how, and if not, you will pick up the know-how, of course, with team trainings and field trainings. So remember this in your personal life also, not only for this business. Change your belief, change your mindset. These are some of the things I picked up and I really liked. Someone else's success is not your failure, which we discussed earlier. Just because someone in the business or anywhere else in your life is doing better or has more stores, or which I felt myself, how come I'm not there? Why haven't I have 10 stores? We all go through this. And in HGI also, where they are mentioning, it does not matter what the other person is doing, is what you are doing. And you need to concentrate more on your success, less on your failure. So, just because they are successful doesn't mean that you are failed. So please understand that, and please follow that, where you can put this next to your beds, next to your mirrors, in your bathrooms, in your desk. It's great to empower and reach out and kind of remind yourself on a daily basis. The one on the right, the recruiting power is only available to owners. And this, was a really profound statement, where a lot of people at the meeting this morning really kind of grabbed their attention. And of course, myself being an owner, I understood this really well myself. And the key here is the recruiting power is only available to owners. And if you understand, the guy who owns a business, he's the only one recruiting or hiring people or employees. And of course, your managers are the ones or your employer is the only one doing the hiring and doing the recruiting. So there's recruiting in every aspect, but there's only one person doing it, or a group of people that are on above. But this is the only business or the only system where you have the power to recruit, where you have the power to expand your business, and thus on, they have the power to expand or recruit other team members. 4 steps. This was by Altaf. 4 steps to success in AGI. Master the BOP. That's the presentation that we do. We do definitely want to make sure we're able to do this. And the more you're on field trainings, if you're new, the more you practice on yourself, the more you watch others, leaders do it, the more we do mock sessions, which we'll do on a regular basis, where one person will come on stage or come on the Zoom call and present to the team, so we could see exactly what's being said and how it's being said. And the best thing, of course, do an efficient FNA, which is the financial need analysis. We want to make sure we are well versed in that. And of course, the third is make sure your team conducts step 1, step 2 as they're defined. Meaning making sure you have leaders in your teams that know exactly how to do the master the BOP and do an efficient FNA. And we talked about the get 100 no's, where the more no's you have, the better, because this is what you're learning from every failure. So don't worry about the no's. Make sure you have enough no's. Make sure you have a lot of no's, because that's just giving you stronger and better and stronger. I'm really also very passionate, like I mentioned the word passion, and Sean mentioned a lot about what's missing in most is the passion that's involved. Because I think passion is the best thing, where if you want to do something, you want to do it with passion, you want to do it with that inner energy. And whatever you're doing, like you're cooking, if you're going out there and helping your kids, or you're playing with the kids, or you're watching a match, anything you do, you're doing it with passion. And we want to show that, and we want in our BOPs, we want to show that when we're speaking to our prospects, we want to show that when we're talking to our teams, where it's important to believe, and believe not only in yourself, but believe in the business, believe in what you're doing, that we're doing something great. So this is just a little thing I picked up. I thought this would help, where these are some of the things we come across with people, with the team members or with recruits that you have. Are you really passionate about the business? And ask yourself, why are you in this business? And kind of reevaluate your passion, in your goals in life. What are you really passionate about? And then we can fine tune and understand what empowers you. And we want to make sure, as leaders, as team believers, where we empower you and bring that passion in you. So, is it hard? Well, if someone says yes, is it worth the trouble? Yes. Will it positively impact my life? Yes. And then let's do it. Let's go ahead. Let's be successful. Or let's join AGI for someone who's a prospect. Let's build leaders. Let's build big teams. Now, looking at the other way and answering these with a yes or no, is it hard? No. Will it bring me closer to my dreams? No. Well, then I guess you need more time to understand what is your dream. Because remember, this may not be the only vehicle, or this is not the only vehicle to fulfill your dreams. This is, I would say, one of the vehicles in the world. And I see that clearly where with the system, with the LFS, and how a mentor like Mr. Humphrey and Aki. So I think this is a great opportunity. But whatever you're thinking of, is it bringing you closer to your dreams? Well, no. Well, I need more time to reevaluate whatever I'm looking at. And of course, will it bring me closer? Yes. It is going to allow me to help myself and others. Yes. Well, the best time is now. This is the time to join. This is the time to recruit yourself again. This is the time to prospect. This is the time to recruit others. And you show the passion, and you show the empowerment and the inspiration. And that will get you to the next level. And this is the last where I will leave all of you, where Team Believers is about dreaming, believing, and achieving. And the power of believing is believe in yourself, in your team, in your business, and in your clients. Dream big, believe you can, get inspired, inspire others, empower, improve yourself, take action, and achieve. Go Team Believers. Thank you.